Hey, Eric.
How's it going, John?
It is going well tonight.
Another week, another podcast.
Another week, another Wednesday. Staying on the regular day.
Figured out Wednesdays, I guess. Back to
Maybe.
Wednesdays.
Maybe. I wondered earlier if you were going to say no. Let's kick it to tomorrow.
No, like a very smart person, I have my 3D printer, which sits right next to me.
Who knows his days of the week?
Yes, I kicked off a print that was going to take 24 hours. And I thought, I'll be done by noon tomorrow. It'll be fine. And then I remembered tonight's podcast night, which would give me a lot of background noise. So I'm testing out a feature of my Prusa, which is pause. Apparently, we're going to see how well pausing the print does. So
for about an hour.
Yeah, the tool will eventually time out and cool itself down, and then it'll have to warm itself back up. Fingers crossed the bed doesn't, because I don't want that to dislodge the print. So we'll find out. This is an experiment.
Life is one big experiment. So I will be interested to hear how it goes.
I paused it a couple times, but then immediately restarted it, and it seemed to work fine. Now we're just going to do it for a length of time longer than a couple seconds.
Third time's the charm. Or the anti-charm, whatever the opposite of charm is.
I'm also pleased this week, no additional softball injuries. So
no additional softball injuries. Okay,
correct.
That's good. Did you play softball?
I did play softball and managed not to injure myself, but it was Monday night, and it was, I don't know if you remember Monday. Monday was rather warm.
I haven't gone outside voluntarily for a number of days.
Voluntarily. Yeah, it was like 94.
Yeah.
Which in Portland is really hot for 6:30 at night to start playing softball in the sun.
Yeah.
So
did you get another pair of glasses?
I ordered another pair of glasses. They are not in yet, but I looked at trying to repair those, but they're already old, and the prescription is old too. And they would have had to they could have just replaced the lens, they could have taken the lenses out and put them in something different, but anyway, it was going to be a mess. And it turns out cheaper to just order all brand new glasses. So,
interesting.
Done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now I have a backup pair of glasses. I will now have two pairs so that when I break another one, because this would be the first time.
So you ordered two.
Yes.
You ordered two.
Well, I already have one extra. I always have two. I was down to one after I broke one. Now I will sometime this week or next week, I will be back up to two.
Okay. So your BCDR plan was executed successfully.
Exactly.
All right.
That's exactly right.
All right, cool. Yeah, I don't know if I've actually mentioned it on the podcast, but my eyes are getting worse super fast, and I'm so depressed. I need to go in and get an eye test and probably start wearing glasses again, which I have not had glasses for, I don't know, 17 years, 18 years. I did LASIK many years ago. About that many years ago, because my eyes were terrible before. And so I so enjoyed not having to wear glasses for, and having just amazing eyesight, especially compared to what I had before. But I think the age hath caught up with me, or something like that. So,
well, we
will see.
Sadly getting to the point where I think I need the bifocals, because I use glasses for distance, but I don't use them for up close. So I never wear them while I'm sitting at my desk working or reading a book or anything, because my eyes are fine there. It's just distance. So it's usually when I'm driving or when I'm doing an activity that requires seeing stuff 6 feet or further from my face clearly.
Yeah.
And now it's like I put them on, but then I can't leave them on. Like if I put my glasses on now, everything would be fuzzy. I couldn't see my computer. So
yeah,
I just can't wear glasses. Anyways, yeah. Welcome to old age, John. It's fun.
Well, my son is clearly within hearing range of me, because he just texted me and said, just think though, if you get glasses, you can be part of the cool kids club. So I think that's
that part
funny.
is true. That part is true.
Well, I've been a cool kid, or I was a cool kid, a long, long, long time. I think I was nearly, I don't know, is 20, I think it was, I don't know what they say. Nowadays, it seems like they use a different, like means, like a -3 or something like that. But I used to be like 2,300 or 2,400. I don't know what that is in the newer.
I don't know either.
I don't know, but it was bad. It was basically I understood that to mean that what a normal person could see 300 feet away, aka at the other end of a football field, I could see 20 feet away.
I don't think I've ever thought about that. Is that accurate? I mean, is that what those things are supposed to mean? I have no clue.
I thought so.
I never
thought so.
I learned something.
That's been so like ingrained. It's not even something I've read since there has been an internet. So,
well, here's the thing: is I have just never thought of it in what it actually meant. I just thought of it was a unit of measure, but I never correlated it to anything.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, there you go. Now I learned something.
Well, maybe it might be incorrect. Who knows? Here I am spreading disinformation.
I like your explanation. I'm going to stick with it.
So now I'll have to go look that up afterwards. See if that's actually right. I don't know. So I have a minor bit of personal follow-up, which is that I listened to the Project Hail Mary this week.
Did you finish it?
Yep. Finished it last night.
And?
I loved it. It was awesome. Right. It was awesome.
Relative to The Martian, better, equal, or not quite as good? I mean, The Martian was different because it was like the first one. It was new, and it was very...
Yeah, this is very reminiscent of The Martian for sure. But I would say that this was better.
I agree.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Yeah, there were no potatoes in this. I hope I'm not spoiling anything.
No.
But yeah, I agree. It's hard to say anything without like spoiling it, and it shouldn't be spoiled. So go watch or read or listen to Project Hail Mary. And so did you read it or did you listen to it?
I read it. I bought it on Kindle. And so I read the book.
I actually think, again, there were parts of this where I think it would have lost something if it wasn't audible.
I do need to try, like your Trevor Noah one, I do need to try listening to a few, but I have tried listening to books in the past, and my mind wanders too easily. And if it does it with a book, I can just, flip back a page. It's harder to flip back a page.
I occasionally hit audio. 15-second back. Wait. What happened? But I think that maybe the difference is I've got lots of projects that don't require a lot of brain power and do require like manual,
right?
Effort, work, whatever.
Well, you mentioned your boy texting you. Now I have my daughter texting me because she had lost her phone.
Yeah.
She went with some friends on Saturday downtown Portland to a quarter arcade. I think they used to be penny arcades.
Like a nickel arcade.
Nickel arcades, and now apparently they're quarter
inflation.
Arcades. Yeah, and so she went down and lost her phone somewhere down there. And she couldn't find it. They hunted around for an hour before it closed. And we were hitting the Find My Friends, or the Find My app to make a noise, and they couldn't find it. And we watched it.
Because it's such a noisy environment, they just couldn't hear. You couldn't hear the.
Either it fell down behind something or it got plugged in somewhere. And we sat and watched Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, the battery slowly die on it, and it disappeared. And the thing is, it's a quarter arcade. They're only open Thursday through Sunday. So Monday, Tuesday, Monday we lost track of it like at 3 a.m. Tuesday, and then today, about 2 hours ago, it popped and sent me a notification saying, found the phone. And I look, and someone is charging it because the charge is now up to 100%, and it's saying, I've been found. Its physical location is still at the quarter arcade. So fingers crossed, someone found it and is just being nice and charging it, and it's in their lost and found. So she is texting me now saying, Dad, can you go down with me tomorrow at lunch? Well, I don't think I make lunch, but maybe in the early afternoon, because I should read her.
So they're open on Thursdays.
They open on Thursday. And she said, I need someone to make sure I get it and don't get swindled. I don't trust any of my friends to be that strong.
Oh.
Like, I'm pretty sure that if someone is charging it and it's in the same location, so I told her, just call them tomorrow when they open. I think they open at noon.
Uh-huh.
Call them tomorrow and say, hey, did you find it? I noticed that it's now charging. And, we set you can set a message, so it says, I'm lost. Please call or text this phone number. And no one's called or texted our home phone number to say they found it. But someone's charging it and it's reporting its location and a full battery. So we'll see tomorrow.
Well, I hope that story ends happily.
Me too. And specifically her too, because she discovered that if she needed to get a replacement, it was all her own money to replace it. There was not going to be any dad help replacing it.
Uh-huh.
So, yes. So, there you go.
Well, I hope that it is simply in a lost and found basket underneath the counter.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here's hoping.
I feel like I've talked a lot, so.
Well, my weekend was consumed with family stuff. We had family in town, so there wasn't a ton of stuff that we did that was super interesting. Hung around, talked with family. I did do some 3D printing just to kind of show off my 3D printer. One of my wife's cousins was very curious about 3D printing, so
right,
that was cool. And I hadn't actually printed anything for a couple months, and it fired up, printed perfectly. There was one of the figures on the plate didn't actually turn out right, but the others were fine.
Okay.
So that was cool. But no, my main follow-up I wanted to give you was that I had listened to Project Hail Mary in abeyance of finishing my physical book that I'm reading too, which but it's hard to read a physical book while you're weeding. So that is what it is. So let's see. I actually had a real bit of follow-up this week though too. I saw
more Solarwinds stuff. I see.
Yeah, I saw a article on Bleeping Computer that was kind of a follow-up announcement by the government, the DOJ, on just a couple days ago. I didn't actually write down when this was, but that described a little bit more the breadth of intrusion that was experienced by the victims of the Solarwinds breach. So it said that, quote, the APT is believed to have access to compromised accounts from approximately May 7th to December 27th. So 8 months of 2020. And that the compromised data includes...
So March. Sorry.
What?
March of 2020 felt like 8 months. Sorry, lame joke.
Sorry. Yeah. Yes, exactly. It was an eternal year.
Oh, good.
The eternal month. But that the compromised data included all sent, received, and stored emails and attachments found within those accounts during that time. So that sounds like relatively complete compromise of the email system. And that, this is an interesting phrasing, while other districts were impacted to a lesser degree, the APT group gained access to the O365 email accounts of at least 80% of employees working in the U.S. Attorney's offices located in the eastern, northern, southern, and western districts of New York.
Ouch.
So Russia was reading all email for 80% of employees, and I presume those are the 4 districts. It says eastern, northern, southern, and western. So I guess maybe they have a northeast and a southwest and a southeast. I don't know if they have the non-cardinal direction districts, but yeah. So that's extreme. And then there's just a kind of a recap that says that, in April, the United States government formally accused the Russian government of orchestrating it, and that they named the SVR's hacking division as the group behind the cyber espionage, and that multiple government agencies later confirmed they were breached. I don't think this is saying, I think this was all kind of like summary of other systems that had previously notified that they were breached.
Right.
So Treasury, National Telecommunications and Information Administration, Department of State, National Institutes of Health, Department of Homeland Security, Department of Energy, and the National Nuclear Security Administration. No big deal. So
some of the lesser government functions. Yeah.
Yeah. So how about a topic tonight? What'd you bring me?
So, as you know, Black Hat is going on.
It is.
And this one, an article, I assume it's from a presentation at Black Hat, which I found it hilarious. So this is a researchers who discovered some vulnerabilities that can be compromised in hotels, IoT devices that you can find in hotels. But what was fascinating about this one is it's not just a hotel, it's a capsule hotel. Have you heard of these capsule hotels?
I feel like I've seen pictures in Japan.
Yes, exactly. Well, apparently they're becoming popular. This was in Europe, and it's just a really tiny room. It's got one entrance and kind of like a garage door thing you slide down, and all it has is like a bed, maybe a little table. Everything else is shared, bathroom, shower, other facilities are shared. It's more like a single room to sleep in. And it's very small, and sometimes they're stacked on top of each other. Just Google capsule hotel if you've never heard of it and look at some of the pictures. Anyways, this researcher was on vacation and staying in a capsule hotel and had a neighbor who the article quotes as Bob, who kept waking this researcher up by making loud phone calls in the early hours of the morning. And after a couple requests to Bob to please keep it down, Bob did not. And so if you're a Black Hat security researcher, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to explore your room and find out how the lights and everything is controlled. Because for this hotel that this person was staying at, they were issued an iPod Touch to control the entire capsule. And so they dug around, found the router for the connection. It was all over Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, because you can turn your bed into a couch and it's all automated, right? Anyways, turn lights on and off. Everything is through this little device. And so, of course, they found the router hidden in the wall, did some research, found it was using WEP, which is not that secure, easily breakable, discovered that the credentials were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then did some with some of their tools, did a man-in-the-middle attack to inspect the traffic, found out that there was no encryption, created a little phone to tamper with the connections, and all of a sudden the researcher had full control of their bedroom through their own laptop, reverse engineering everything. Step 2, now that I can do my own room, can I do any room?
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, after a bit more research, and the article kind of details a little bit more detail the research, but sure enough, discovered, hey, I can control every bedroom in this capsule hotel. And you know what, Bob? Since you are not being respectful for me, about every 2 hours, I'm going to have your bed turn into a sofa and have the lights turn on and off for a while. And I'm going to launch that script at midnight while I'm asleep. And we'll see how you do. Which is not nice, but frankly, I found slightly hilarious. I'm sure Bob did not enjoy it, and I'm sure Bob probably went to the front desk and said, my room is possessed, give me a new room, and whatever, but...
Move to the right side instead of the left.
Yes. So there you go. A a researcher who went on vacation to enjoy themselves and ended up with a black hat conference talk. So another reminder that everything's controlled by computers. Not everything is secure.
Yeah.
So there you go.
IoT security.
Yeah. I mean, the researcher did contact the hotel and the router vendor afterwards, and they have, I'll air quote here, improved their security posture. But there you go. That's my entertainment topic for today.
That is funny. That's cool. All right. Looking at the picture on that article, that seems like, I guess if all you want is a super cheap place to crash, I guess that fits the bill. They're even smaller than I was sort of picturing in my head, though. That basically only fits
just
a bed.
Enough room for a bed, and hang a few clothes up, and it's tiny.
That's cool. All right. All right. I have 2 for tonight. The first one is, it's been a long time since we did a breach of the week. I feel like, we should talk about a breach. So this was actually announced last month, I guess, but, the hackers that breached Electronic Arts and, stole the source code for, FIFA 21. That's a soccer/football game, right?
Yeah, FIFA 21.
Yeah.
It is soccer.
FIFA.
Yes, FIFA 21.
All right. It's a sports ball
game. Soccer/football. Sports ball.
Okay. No,
That's
sorry.
right.
That's a joke. You made fun of me the other day at lunch when some people started talking sports, and I looked over at you and you were like, "Sports ball, John. Sports ball." Hey. There's only so many hours in the day.
I know.
And so, so anyway, so I remember reading, I guess it must have been this thing about the way in which they got credentials, which was that they bought an authentication cookie for Electronic Arts Slack channel so that they could get onto the Slack internal Slack system, and then they basically socially engineered an IT person to give them basically reset their password or it just I'm getting that from a previous thing, but this just says they tricked an EA IT support staffer into granting them access to the company's internal network. So once on the network, they downloaded the source from the source control, and then attempted to sell it on the underground market. But so I found this sort of just because how many buyers are there for the full source code for a stolen video game? There's what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Right.
It's not like you're going to go make a clone and sell a clone for $30 instead of $50.
Yeah.
Or I think even a lot of the games now are free to play or really cheap, and you buy in game.
Yeah, they call them loot boxes, I think. Or I forget. My sons used the word with me at some point. But basically, yeah, tap into the psychological nature of people wanting kind of a little bit of instant gratification and being willing to spend $3 now or $5 now instead of like a quote unquote big $50 purchase. And, 10 days later, you've already spent your $50 and you're, I don't know, those free to play games are psychologically vampiric. I don't know.
Psychologically vampiric.
I don't know. I not a fan, as you might guess. Even though, to be fair and to be honest, I've played a number of them. I just try not to spend money because
Yeah.
I feel like I can see the Matrix. All right, what was I saying there? So they couldn't find a buyer on the underground market because it's not full of credit card numbers. So then they tried to extort EA to basically asking. I didn't copy in the amount, but it was like $20 million, I think, if I'm remembering correctly.
It was a non-trivial amount.
Yeah, non-trivial amount of data or amount of money. Hold on, 28 million is what the article says, which I don't know how they came up with 28 million. It's probably like 2 Bitcoin or something like that. Anyway, so they tried to extort, and basically EA gave them the finger, and they're like, no. And so the full source is released online, but EA according to the EA statement, it's quote, no player data was accessed because it was the source code to the game. Company has quote, no reason to believe there's any risk to player privacy. I guess
right.
What I would be worried about is, if I were EA, is what credentials to internal servers or cloud setups were stored in the said source code, even if credentials should not be stored in source code. It happens. And, did they get ahead of anything along those lines? Which,
well,
I don't know.
I was thinking more along the lines of, if you use in-game currency to buy things, is there ways that they can scan the source code, figure out the source code? Is that going to allow someone to develop something like to cheat the system?
Targeted vulnerability.
Yeah, to their financial advantage or to their advantage in the game to help them win if they want to, sell, things like that.
I would say that most of those sorts of games these days, I guess I don't know what kind of game this is, if it's like an online game or if it's just a PlayStation type game or PC. If it's a game that has a server involved, then anything like currency manipulation should be, impossible to do purely from the client side. But you never know. If you got the source code.
Exploit a vulnerability.
Could be interesting. Mm-hmm. And there might be, I don't know, as a developer, it'd be interesting to go just sort of spelunk through it for, curiosity's sake. But I don't know. I'm sure that
yep,
they're probably targeting people that download it off of. It said in the article that it's up on torrent sites and stuff like that at this point. So the net is. EA didn't give in to the blackmail, and it says, the last quote I pulled out is, quote, we are actively working with law enforcement officials and other experts as part of this ongoing criminal investigation. So good for EA. I think there's not many articles about EA that I have read lately that would make me go, good for you, EA. but congratulations. There we go. This is one.
All right.
So there's that. That was my first article.
Okay.
My second one, I almost did this for Followup because it's kind of related to that location data, how hard it is to, hard or impossible it is to anonymize location data. And then I saw this article this week, and this literally is a link to a paper that I'll put in here. I haven't seen if this was linked anywhere else yet, but this paper is it's about how you could potentially use accelerometer data to de-anonymize various things about people.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you saw this or read this.
I haven't, but I'm sorry. I'm looking at the notes. It's clicking for me. I get it.
Yeah. So here's some of the stuff I pulled out of this. So basically, so an accelerometer, there's an accelerometer in your phone. It's kind of what is, it helps track your steps. It helps helps with what direction the phone is. a relatively simple sensor that's included in, like, there's one in your watch as well if you're wearing a smartwatch. But, it's fairly basic data. But as with many things, if you are smart about how you leverage very basic data, you can essentially, walk up the ladder of information. So it says here, basics of this paper is, it's kind of a survey of, this is like a survey of papers. It's a paper survey of papers of ways in which acceleration or accelerometer data has been used to show or infer other sorts of things, and then some general commentary about it. So it says a wide range of physical activity variables and behavior-related information can be derived from raw accelerometer data. Body-worn accelerometers have been shown to enable real-time body posture and activity classification. So high accuracy has been achieved for basic physical activities: running, walking, cycling, lying, climbing stairs, falling, sitting, standing, as well as complex activities like writing, reading, typing, painting, sorting paperwork, or searching the internet. It's been shown that accelerometers in mobile devices can be exploited for user localization and reconstruction of travel trajectories, even when other localization systems such as GPS have been disabled. So There's a link to a paper that shows that they were able to geographically track a person driving a car based solely on accelerometer readings from the subject's smartphone. So there's an image, if you want to put this as the chapter art, that shows, what the actual GPS route is from a car that was taken versus what the inferred route is based on purely accelerometer data. And it's pretty doggone close.
Yeah.
Accelerometer only approaches have been proposed to confirm the identity of a user based purely on biometric gait features, hand gestures, or head movements. So for an example, using accelerometer readings, Quapitz, Weiss, and Moore were able to recognize individuals from a pool of 36 test subjects with 100% accuracy. That's a quote with a link to the article. So, I don't know. This, from what we were talking about last week with the, just the location data,
right?
Seeing this week and then thinking about what could you do with, just accelerometer data is kind of scary, actually. And that, so the closing bit of this is that, essentially, so accelerometers, here, I'm going to read this as a quote. Accelerometers are commonly regarded as not privacy intrusive and therefore often less access restricted than other sensors such as cameras and microphones, which is true. However, based on existing literature, we found that accelerometer data can enable serious privacy intrusions by allowing inferences about a device holder's location, identity, demographics, personality, health status, emotions, activities, and body features. Any trait, or this is like the critical, those were other critical sentences. Here's the real sentence. Any trait or behavior of a user that results in characteristic movement patterns can potentially be detected through acceleration signals. So,
mic drop.
Any trait or behavior that results in characteristic movement patterns. Interesting. Interesting.
That is cool. I haven't read that. I'm going to have to go read through that one because that does look fascinating to me. I mean, I've heard them all separately. So as you say, this is a collection of all the different research into a single bit, which might make this
a survey paper, I guess, is maybe what you call that. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, that was the other thing I saw today or this week.
Cool.
All right. How about something fun?
So the Olympics are going on.
I do hear that.
There's some sports ball going on in the Olympics as well, among other events. So we've been watching the Olympics.
I did spend like 2 hours a couple of weekends ago watching a few things. Like I watched some table tennis. That was cool.
I'm with you. I watch all the, I don't want to call them weird, but all the non-traditional sports because they're fascinating. I get fascinated by the rowing, the one person rowing, the table tennis,
like whitewater.
Yes, they have whitewater rafting, kayaking.
I haven't actually watched those. I'll have to see if I can see.
Yeah, and the badminton is fascinating. There's apparently this sport called handball, which is fascinating. Fencing, all the fun stuff. Anyways,
I did watch some fencing. Yeah.
So my something fun, I have 2, and I had to cull it down from 3. So I'm saving a third one for another time.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. Fun week.
My first one is all about the Olympics, which I think mentally you will go, well, duh. But there's some researchers who went and studied the medal stand photographs from 413 athletes from 142 different sporting events, 67 different countries across 5 Olympic Summer Games between 2000 and 2016. And they used commercial facial expression software and compared the facial appearance of all 3 medalists both to what position they finished and how they were predicted to finish. So the results basically found that bronze medalists were more likely to exhibit a smile than silver medalists, and while the gold medalists were happy than the other 2. And now you think that kind of sounds maybe obvious because it's what scientists refer to as counterfactual thinking, right? The silver medalists formed an upwards comparison to the gold medalists with thoughts of, I almost won gold, I didn't. But the bronze medalists formed a downward comparison to the 4th place finisher and think, at least I won a medal, right? So
that
the
makes
medalists,
sense.
They form their thoughts based on what their expectations were entering the event, with the silver medalists being more disappointed because their expectations were higher than bronze, right? So the paper basically mentions, hey, now we have a better idea why athletes who did objectively better, as in won silver versus bronze, might appear less happy, and it's that notion of upwards and downwards comparison doesn't only apply to Olympic medalists, but all aspects of life, such as work, school, or when making purchases, for example. So
counterfactual
thinking. So it was an interesting article. It was Olympic related. So there's my number 1. And then my second something fun I found absolutely fascinating. It's only on Apple TV, so if you may have to. Anyways, it's available on Apple TV, and as you know, John, I love a good fact-based science documentary, and this is David Attenborough. I mean, he could read a dictionary. I'd probably just watch that as well. But
how old is he?
607. I don't know. I think he's in his late 80s or early 90s, and he's still doing narration. But this one is called The Year the Earth Changed, and BBC sent out camera crews all around the world in March of 2020, and then had them repeat in April, May, June, July. And it goes through and shows how nature, animals, etc., and plants started to thrive in the absence of humans.
Yeah.
And it touches on a bunch of places around the world where, for example, there's, and this one, my oldest and I watched together. She was fascinated by it because she has actually been there. There's this place in Japan where the deer, you feed the deer, and you can go buy, it's kind of like, you can buy things from a local place, and these deer are all over the place. And it's anyways, when there are no humans,
or something like that.
Yeah, when there are no humans to feed them, were they going to starve? No, because the entire town used to be their grazing pasture, and there were little bits and parts of the town, and the deer would wander around to the bits and parts of the town that still had not been consumed by city streets and buildings to graze in their ancestral grazing yards. And anyways, it took place, in the oceans. They went up to Alaska, and they were showing how the behavior of whales have changed in Alaska because of the lack of shipping traffic. The mothers would leave their calves at a much further distance than they normally would because they could hear the calf if they got in trouble, so they would go off and, all these different things. So
okay,
fascinating.
Okay.
And he kind of goes 1 month, here's what happened. 2 months, here's what happened. 3, he kind of plots along as the pandemic went on with what nature was doing to reclaim. And, I think we even talked about, the skies cleared up. There's one of this town in India where 3 months in, all of a sudden they were on the rooftop and they're like, those are the Himalayas. They had never seen the Himalayas in their lifetime due to the smog that has been persistent for 30 years. All of a sudden, they could now see, and they just the pictures. And anyways, totally watch it. I think it's only 45 minutes long. Well worth the watch.
Okay.
So
that is totally worth doing. I will attempt to get that done.
The Year the Earth Changed.
The Year the Earth Changed. Real-time follow-up. He is 95.
95. Okay.
Born May 8th, 1926. So there you go.
Awesome.
And
all right.
Evidently still narrating strong.
Yeah.
So, all right. My something fun. I couldn't not do this something fun, but I'm not sure. I'm not going to pretend that I understand this entirely. So, this is
it's
first.
Fun, but you're not sure why. That's what?
Well, the title has it all. It's the first time crystal. Sounds like that should be like, in the Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
We created a time crystal. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's been a couple of those in movies I've watched. Okay, so, but this is a hypothetical real thing. Real-ish.
Hypothetically real.
Simulated real thing. Except,
okay.
Well, okay. So, actually, jumping to the very end, it sounds as if there are two teams that are kind of in this article that are kind of going back and forth. The team that initially did the, sort of proposed it, but didn't actually call it a time crystal. And then a second team that, refined it a little bit and kind of was a fast follower, so to speak, but then actually used much more colorful language, including the words time crystal. And that's what is kind of more intriguing, I guess. So first of all, with the two teams, on the one team, it's purely a simulation. Not purely a simulation. It is leveraging Google's quantum computer to prove that it's possible to create this sort of state, which is kind of cool. It's I think this might have been I saw a tweet that said I think that was the premise of devs.
Right.
But which I don't know if was that something fun that we did at some point, because I did.
I think it was one of your something funs, and that was what spurred me to watch it.
Yeah. Anyway, so a time crystal. I'm going to read this quote. A time crystal is a new category of phase of matter, expanding the definition of what a phase is. All other known phases, like water or ice, are in thermal equilibrium. Their constituent atoms have settled into a state with the lowest energy permitted by the ambient temperature, and their properties don't change with time. The time crystal is the first out of equilibrium phase. It has order and perfect stability, despite being in an excited and evolving state. I can't pronounce these names. Wilczeckian time crystal requires no input and continues indefinitely since the system is in its ultra-stable equilibrium state. But it's in a state in time, and if you apply, they were saying that you apply laser to it, it will flip between two states, but without absorbing any energy. So the one-dimensional analogy of this is of an electron. So an electron is a wave, probability, right? The height of the wave in different places is the probability of detecting the particle there. But they discovered in, I think it said the 50s. I didn't actually pull out the date here, but they discovered in the 50s that it's possible to cause the electron's wave to break up in the presence, for example, of random defects in a lattice, in a crystal lattice. And if the electron's wave is broken up, if you do it in a particular way, you can make it so that it destructively interferes with itself and basically cancels out the wave everywhere except in a small region, which basically forces the particle to be in that one spot. So instead of probability, it's there. And then in 2005, it says 3 physicists at Princeton and Columbia University showed that a one-dimensional chain of quantum particles, so not just a single electron, but a one-dimensional chain of quantum particles can experience many body localization, meaning that they could get stuck with all of their spins forced into a particular way, as opposed to being probabilistic.
Mm.
And then sort of the next step after that is in simulations and in theory at least, figuring out a set of localized spins that have a partner spin set that basically they'll flip back and forth between. So
right.
From, up, up, down, down to down, down, up, up. Something like that, where it will just flip back and forth
up,
between
down, down, left, right, BA start.
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm pretending I am understanding what you're talking about.
Well, I don't. So, anyway, that's okay. You should go read this article, and that's and at the end of the day.
I'll have to read it 3 or 4 times. Maybe it'll stick.
I've read it twice, and I don't know that I definitely got more out the second time than the first quick skim through. But anyway, so one of these teams, the one with the gal who actually did a lot of this work as her undergrad, was partnered with Google after Google had their announcement a couple years ago about their Sequoia processor. Uh-huh. And they basically were able to tune the qubits. Google has the 20 qubit. It says for the demo, Kachesdi, I'm going to attempt to pronounce that, and collaborators used a chip with 20 qubits to serve as the time crystal. So they basically, it says they could tune the strengths of the interactions between the qubits, and that tunability is why they were able to actually do it. So they could randomize the qubits' interaction strengths and then use that randomness to create destructive interference between them that allowed the row of spins to achieve many body localization. So that's the
right.
Actually creating that many body localization of the qubits.
Got it.
And then they showed that they could get them into a position where it says the researchers found that microwave pulses only had to flip spins somewhere in the ballpark of 180 degrees, but not exactly that much for the spins to return to their exact initial orientations after 2 pulses, like little boats riding themselves. Furthermore, the spins never absorbed or dissipated net energy from the microwave laser, leaving the disorder of the system unchanged. So, it's more than a simulation. But it's interesting that they actually used the qubits of the quantum computer not to quantumly compute anything, or like as physical manifestations of the actual state of the quantum bits. But there was actually a correction to this article at the very bottom that says, following the publication of this article, Quanta learned that a separate research group had on July 5th posted a preprint claiming to have created a time crystal using 9 carbon atoms in a diamond. We've updated the article to include this result. So that's the competing team that they they and this article didn't have any more detail about them than this, but there is a link to the other paper, but that I did not read. But the sounds like one of them went with the quantum computer for a quote unquote substrate. The other went for a diamond as a substrate. And either way, it will be interesting to see what does this do for us? What does this do for us long term? This seems like pure science, but these sorts of understandings can have really long ranging ramifications, I think. But that's exciting. It's exciting. There you go. That's my something fun.
Very cool. Because I don't know what else to say about that.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a time crystal.
Yeah.
Now we need are the other 5 and or the other 4, and we can wait. We don't want to snap our fingers. Anyway. All right. All right.
Good stuff.
All right. Well, have a good week.
Yep.
Call it a show.
We'll talk to you later. Night, John.
I'll talk to you later, Eric. Bye.
Bye.